Hi guys, wearing a normal shirt today. The next topic I'll be talking about is pretty serious, and it could save a loved one's life. So, I have a friend in New York, and I just wondering what the situation in New York was with this COVID-19, since it seems to be the worst hit area of the United States. And typing stuff in, I come out with this article right here. And it says, are doctors harming patients by ventilating them too soon? As 80% of New York City coronavirus patients on ventilators, and doctors search for other ways to help them breathe. So basically it's saying that 80% of people in New York are dying when placed on ventilators. Now it comes from the Daily Mail, and I find out that that's actually not a really reputable source. But then Business Insider, which is pretty reputable, says the same thing. And then the Sacramento Bee. So Sacramento Bee is a really highly reputable source. It's Sacramento's daily newspaper. It's been around since 1857. And they're saying the exact same thing. Now, the interesting thing is that I type in, why do people die on ventilators? And it turns out that actually 40 to 50% of people on ventilators die no matter what your disease. But it's kind of still strange that with COVID-19, 80% die. I mean, that's not, if you're saying 53, 55%, you're like, well, it's kind of the norm, but 80% is a lot worse than it should be. So then I went into this, it's actually a journal article, so that it's published in a scientific journal, and it says, spillover of cytokines and reactive oxygen species and ventilator-induced lung injury associated with inflammation and apoptosis of distal organs. Okay, so that sounds like a mouthful, and it is. And I mean, I don't know if you guys knew that, I graduated from undergrad with a major in biology, a minor in chemistry. So it kind of like, I still have to go to my books and say, I remember something like that. So here's what that says. Okay, people with COVID-19 end up getting what is called a cytokine release syndrome or a cytokine storm. So what that means is that your white blood cells, like your macrophages and your neutrophils, so these are like the white blood cells. These are the ones that come and attack viruses, attack bacteria, attack debris, right? They're your immune system cells. What they do is they release substances called cytokines. So like interleukin 1 and interleukin 6 and 8 and tumor necrosis factor alpha. So like they release these cytokines. But what cytokines do, they're messengers. So they actually recruit more white blood cells. And then you're stuck in this loop where more white blood cells show up. They start dumping on more cytokines, and more show up and dump on more cytokines, and then you end up with this like cytokine storm, which is cause a ton of inflammation, a ton of damage to your tissues. So what fuels the cytokine storm? What fuels these cytokines? Well, one thing that fuels it is a reactive oxygen. That's up to 2 plus. So reactive oxygen molecule. Okay, so basically what we're doing, by adding more oxygen, we can actually cause more cytokine storms. Like here's what happens. When you have too much oxygen. When there's too much oxygen in the presence of iron, so it turns it into a superoxide molecule. Okay? Now, this will fuel the fire. But luckily, we have, right, every time you have oxidative stress or a superoxide molecule, we have an enzyme called superoxide dismutase, which breaks that free radical down. And guess what it needs to break it down? You got it, zinc. Right? And it uses also copper and manganese. Okay? So that's why we always go back to that zinc, zinc, zinc. So this, unfortunately, breaks things down into hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, you know, the stuff that you bleach your hair with and you clean your counters with and put on wounds. So that is going to cause some damage to our cells. Lucky for us again, there's another enzyme called glutathione peroxidase that breaks this down into harmless water. Okay? However, guess what that needs? It needs selenium. And also needs glutathione to work. So we need selenium glutathione for glutathione peroxidase to break down hydrogen peroxide into water. If that doesn't happen, okay, if we don't have any selenium and we don't have any GSH, then this, thanks to nasty iron, which will give up another one of its protons, breaks the hydrogen peroxide into two hydroxyl groups. And because of the law of charge conservation, we end up with a positive hydroxyl group, which is really uncommon. But what this does, this causes a lot of cell damage. Okay? So the superoxide molecule causing a ton of inflammation, damaging tissue, plus the hydroxyl groups damaging the cells, creates a disaster in our lungs. So what we want to do, because this oxidant aggression is caused by ventilators, infection or inflammation, free radicals, ischemia and reperfusion, we want to minimize that oxidant aggression as much as possible, and that's why we take antioxidants, right? So antioxidants were the fad like a few years ago, and kind of like people are not talking about it as much, but they're super important. So what we want to do is we want to be taking zinc and copper because it helps. So like I got superoxide dismutase twice because there's three different ones. There's 1, 2, and 3. So zinc and copper help type 1, and manganese helps superoxide dismutase 2, number 2. And we want to take some sort of nebulized glutathione and selenium to help our glutathione peroxidase. So guys, I don't sell any of this stuff, like the nebulized glutathione or selenium. Go to a naturopath, go to a health food store. I don't know if health food stores should have them too. I'm not here to make money off this. I'm telling you what you should be taking. And obviously, vitamin C. Vitamin C is extremely important antioxidant, and there's a huge diagram for that, which I don't have enough board space anyways. So really important information. Oxygen can end up causing more damage. The question is, what do you do? I have no idea. And if there's any ER doctors watching the video, I hope this helps explain why ventilators are bad for you. I think these guys wrote this article back in 2014. They should be calling hospital and say, hey, we wrote an article in 2014. Do not put these guys on ventilators. But I don't know why that doesn't happen. And the other thing too, if there's a PhD watching, I don't know, check my work. Like I said, I did this 20 years ago when I was an undergrad. Okay? Thank you.